Hello, welcome back to my channel. Jerry Ludlow here. Today's painting is a snow scene, and the image is taken from an old Christmas card that I had, and I'll be turning it into an atmospheric watercolour snow scene with snow covered cottages, people walking down the road in their coats and hats, and trees with bare branches. And the sky is going to be cold greys and blues. Now I've enhanced the drawing that I did, which is a simple one, and the reason I've done that is because the original one was quite difficult to see. There's just a few shapes, and I think you can see it much better now that I've done that. Now I'm going to start with the background, the sky, and it's going to be blues and greys, very much a winter feel to it. Now this is cobalt blue, neat, and some water. This is just going to be the blue at the top of the sky. And then a very, very watery Payne's grey. Just using the side of the brush, which is a medium round synthetic. Just doing some bands of colour coming down the sky. Hardly any pigment at all. It's straight onto dry paper. As you can see, I'm just pulling the brush down from the top of the paper down. Very, very dilute mix. In fact, there's hardly any pigment at all. I'm just picking up the sepia and Payne's grey colour. Coming down to the horizon where the cottages are, just being mindful not to get anything on the cottage roofs, which are going to be in snow, and the snow is just going to be the white paper. We're going to get some lots of darks in here to bring everything forward. And this is the road. It's going to be taking your eye into the distance. Very few colours are going to be used in this painting. And if you want to look at different parts of this this video, if you look in the description, you'll see that there's chapters, so you can go backwards and forwards, and you can go to the end, or when you get to the end, if you want to go back and look at some certain parts, you can go back with that. Now the colour that I'm using now is burnt sienna. It's a nice warm colour, and straight away it's going to bring those cottages forward, bring the wall forward on the cottage. Now I'm leaving the roofs and the top of the wall just in the white paper, just carefully going around. And varying the tone a little bit with the side wall of the second cottage, which is in raw umber. Putting on some chimney pots, and at the end of the painting we'll have some snow there, some smoke. You can see that with these snow scenes, the paper is going to be helping you here. The white paper, you just go around it and leave it as the snow. Now I'm going to be putting in the trees at the back of the cottages, and then I'm going to move on to the distant trees. Just using Payne's grey again. And you'll see me dipping into the grey puddle of watercolour on the palette quite often, using some of the darker areas and the lighter areas. Just doing some distant trees and things. And then at the end of the road there's some cottages I've done in the same colour as the distant trees. Just going around the top of these distant cottages there, just to give you the outline, make it look like there's snow there. Just using small brushes today. This is a slightly smaller synthetic round brush. And then just putting in some shapes, random shapes, trying to keep it random for what's left of the leaves on these winter trees. Very much the focal point of the painting, adding to the atmosphere. Leaving lots of gaps. And then using the same mixtures to put some trees in the far distance. Being mindful to leave lots of white because the snow is very deep. And this is the lower part of the walls that are on these cottages. Another nice warm colour, raw sienna. As you can see, I've left an indication there of snow, heavy snow on these walls. Quite a bit of time is going to be spent on these trees, putting in the trunks and the branches. I'm still using the same grey, mostly Payne's grey. Just running up in one go, put these trunks in. Trying to avoid them being dead straight. Not worrying too much about the broken marks. I'm going to be going over the trunks again. Now this is a Dagger brush which holds a lot of paint and has quite a fine point to it. I will be using the rigger brush soon, but this is very good for doing the branches that are in between, using the round brush and the rigger brush. Thinking all the time of what shape the branches should be, and they should twist and turn and not be straight at all. Branches going up, branches going across, and branches going down. I stopped the video there to dry it off a little, and it's jumped forward a bit, but only me putting in a few branches. This is the rigger brush I'm using. And also using a small round brush as well, again just making these trunks darker. There's a small group of trees there, really standing out with that very light sky, very light cold sky in the background. I do hope you try to paint this yourselves. This is a good one to use for practice. Get those branches in. It does take quite a lot of work to get the branches to be convincing and not just to be sticking out in straight lines. It's a good idea to go out and sketch trees. Give yourself an idea of how these trees are formed and their shapes. Putting in a couple of distant tree trunks, all very much the same colours: Payne's grey, sepia. making sure with a rigger brush to rotate it on the palette to fill up with paint. It's just nice to put the trunk in one stroke and then put a few branches in with what paint's left in the brush. Get some nice broken lines in there. As you can see, we're well on the way with this painting already. Just going to put some shadows in these greys in the trees. This is a good lesson in simplification, as you can see from the original photograph that I've taken this from, that was quite fussy in places. It's just to give an indication of snow and trees. Very simple. Well, it looks simple until you try to do it, and then you realise that it's quite difficult not to get too carried away and put in too many branches. Now I put a couple of figures in here with coats and hats, slightly different from the original picture I copied it from. Just to put some life in there, in this picture, this painting. He's just walking along, having a chat. A chap on the right has got a hat on, woolen hat. Now back to some of the shadows and putting a dark line in, which would be the soffits on these old thatch cottages. This is very much a traditional type of snow scene that you find on Christmas cards and things. And putting in the shadows on these walls. being careful to keep the lines nice and crisp away from the snow. I think I just add a little something to the left of that cottage there. Now this is neat cobalt blue. Just going to bring the eye to this group of trees on the left and add in a little Alizarin Crimson. Just to indicate a small hill, or maybe shrubs and things that were covered in the snow. As you can see, it's a very expressive kind of painting where you just got to make up lines of where maybe people have walked, cars or things have gone along the road, and just a bit strong there. So I've used clean tissue paper and dabbed it just to take off some of the colour. Dry brush, which is the round brush, small round brush on its side. Pull quickly across the paper, and there's the road, side of the road. You see how cold it feels with these colours. Just a little bit of relief on the left there. And the sun's coming from the right, so putting the shadows of the tree and the people coming from right to left. Try not to overdo it and cover everything in paint. Leave lots of white. And putting in some shadow on the cottage with Cobalt Blue and Alizarin Crimson. Good shadow colour. Putting a little shadow on the wall there, like there was maybe a gate or something like that. Now you can see by the palette there's very few colours have been used in this. It's very effective. Just keeping it simple like that with a snow scene. Putting in these last few bits. using restraint so I don't put too much paint on. And finally the smoke from the chimneys. They've got their log fires burning on this cold winter's day. And that's the painting completed. Just taking the masking tape off. And there we are, atmospheric snow scene. Quite quickly, just a few colours. I hope you enjoyed it. If there's any other particular scenes you'd like, any other types of watercolour paintings you'd like, please message me.